First time in an actual official setup, huh?
Yeah.
Why'd you look at me like that?
I just thought we were going to have a little bit of a...
You wanted an intro?
Yeah.
Okay, hit him with an intro. We're going to start doing intros.
Welcome, next door neighbors.
From the producers of Mr. Buildit's YouTube channel. You might have known her from her design Instagram account.
You might have known her from her.
From her.
Her own.
When she spoke to
her
you.
own Instagram profile.
That was so rusty.
I didn't have anything.
It's interesting looking at you and trying to like figure out words.
I know. Sometimes I start a sentence and I don't know where it's going. I just hope I find it along the way.
Michael Scott.
Michael Scott.
We are in our first, we've been in the studio before, but
we're trying to
again, you're
things out. I'm having
okay. Why is it so hard for you?
I will say today's gonna be. It might be rough for me.
Why?
These last 2 days, I've been having such a brain fog, and I don't know what it's from. I can't think of words. I can't remember stuff.
I think
it's probably from lack of sleep.
Well, that's true, and
although last night was fine, but I feel like I probably need to catch up. And I've felt like this for the last 2 days. It's going to be rough for me.
The concept of catching up on sleep is, from what I hear, is non-existent. I feel like
you can't, yeah.
I heard that's like a myth. It's not a thing. You can't just catch up on sleep.
Right.
You either have sleep, which I've learned recently how detrimental the lack of sleep is.
Oh, yeah.
You knew this?
Yes.
You didn't know this.
I always knew this. No, I will say in your 30s, the lack of sleep is, you notice the detrimental part.
I'm not even speaking from the perspective of like how useless you become if you don't get enough sleep, like myself. But I'm speaking from the perspective of it's actually bad for your health. I've
heard that more and more lately.
Right.
Where it's like exercise, eating right, and...
What's up? What's up?
Hey, early bird.
No, come on in. The podcast is, get comfortable.
Pull up a chair.
Rich Brown is in the building. I like that watch of yours, my friend.
Nice. Cool studio in here.
You like that? Get some headphones on. Get comfortable. There's some.
No, this is gonna be so legit.
Do you want to wet your whistle right there?
I'm okay.
Are you okay?
I am on the clock.
You're on the clock. Okay.
We're on the clock too, Rich.
Yeah. This is Next Door's Neighbors. This is the old like show up. What's all those television sitcom shows where all of a sudden the neighbor like just walks in without knocking? You know, like every Roseanne, every
That's
Family
us.
Matters.
That's us.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
I would get so pissed if that was the case.
We should do that. Just have people walk in.
Oh, that's actually kind of clever.
It'll be like our thing because it's Next Door Neighbors.
Come and knock on our door.
Somebody just swings the door open
That's
and walks
Three's
in.
Company, yeah. I don't think that happens in that show. Steve Urkel was supposed to be like a secondary, just a random one-off character. Did you know that?
That's it?
I didn't know that.
He was just supposed to show up once in a while, and they tested him in the first few episodes, and they were like,
people loved him.
this guy's the whole show.
You're going to be a star, kid.
Exactly.
I did hear that, and not to make light or make fun of the situation, but I heard that he was working, I think it was like a TMZ thing, like he's working at like a checkout clerk or something like that. Wasn't that him? Or am I thinking of somebody else like
You're thinking of Theo Russ on the Cosby Show. You're thinking of Theo. He was working at Trader Joe's.
Really? That's what it was.
Yep.
That's what it was. And then did anybody pick him up for anything after that?
He did. Like that went viral, and then somebody was like, you know what? I'll go hire Theo for something.
Really? And what was it? The Tomorrow War with Chris
Pratt? Yeah. See, you haven't seen it, so that's the whole point.
That's hilarious.
Hey, if it's gonna, I mean, Trader Joe's is pretty cool. So
Trader Joe's is pretty cool.
I feel like
they've lost the battle with Whole Foods, I think. No. Or does nobody care about?
I feel like I'm sorry. I'm still just taking it all and didn't know I was walking into the studio with the cameras and everything. I gotta remember how I'm presenting myself.
This is like
I didn't even shave or anything for this. I thought this was just
no video, just audio.
This is like To Catch a Predator when the guy like walks in and then he's like, "You're on camera." There's a camera there. There's a camera there.
Yeah. I'm not in the van anymore.
You should have.
The vans are gone.
The van's gone?
The vans are both gone.
You had a van that said the band, because you're in a band, or actually you're in multiple bands, but
yes.
The name of the band was Free Candy, right?
The name of the podcast was Free Candy.
Are you guys still rolling?
I mean, the vans are gone. so
now it's just weird.
No, yeah, and I had like a particular brand of just nonsense. So once, I mean, did not take too dark, like heavy of a turn, but once like George Floyd happened, social media just went very heavy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's very little threshold for just like nonsense,
Just a guy in his van.
satire, BS, making fun of influencers and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Nobody had space for that.
Dude, I
anymore.
love bashing influencers.
Yeah.
So
Get a real job.
It became like, well, what are we doing here?
Uh-huh.
Nobody's listening anyway. So, yeah, that was
that-
like shortly after you told me to triple down on it too.
Did I really?
Yeah,
Can you imagine? I give you
Down
this
on the
pep
free
talk.
candy.
I give you this like really passionate pep talk. You're like, yeah, you're right. Hey man, we shutting down. Wait, what?
Wait, so did you write free candy on your van?
it was no. I used a laser pointer and made a long exposure. So, but it does the icon is the van and it says free candy on it, but it was not permanently written on the van.
You have to use a
can
black
only
light.
imagine.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Oh no, not the black light.
Rich,
Well, welcome, Rich. To
Yeah,
our
thank
podcast.
you. Yeah.
How-
Have you just been
to see
doing
you.
this since 8 in the morning?
Yep.
You guys got up.
We've just been talking.
How many
the
vi-
babysitter took
We've
the
been
kids to
drinking
school.
since 8 in the morning
do we
too.
have viewers on right now?
Yeah.
Can you tell how
Live.
many people are watching?
Well,
you?
this is okay. You're such a boomer right now. This is not live.
Are we on the internet? Is this the internet?
Is this the internet? Are we on it at this moment?
It's like
in
I'm watching my
time?
dad trying to figure out how to use the internet. It's just,
Hello, is this
Can
the
you-
internet?
can you see everybody?
Yeah, I mean, I was supposed to be here, 2:15, so you guys were just gonna do
You're
a
quite
15-minute,
early. Yeah, quick,
just duo banter. I figured I'd come early. We'd
There
tour
you
the
go.
house. We'd see some of the projects. You guys are
Sorry,
yeah,
straight into the
sit
studio.
down and start
Oh.
ruining our show.
Oh no, this
No, this is great. I
there's
love
no
that.
ruining.
We
There's
should
no
do
ruining.
that. We'll tell people to come like at a certain time, and it will just be like, "Oh, hey,
Like I'll still
welcome,
be,
come on in."
I'll be brushing my teeth
Yeah.
when we're recording.
We'll be it'll be fun.
Rich, how long have we known each other?
I mean, I got into Boise in 2014.
So when we met
So it was
you,
6
When was
years.
Jack born?
going on
2013.
7. You
Yeah,
had-
who was
14.
president? Is
you
this
had
Obama?
You
Is this
had
still
no,
Obama?
Yeah, you had no Jack.
I
We didn't have Jack when we met.
You had no kids.
We didn't have kids. Was I
Zero.
pregnant? I must have been pregnant.
No.
Yeah, soon
we
after,
we
maybe.
should have had somebody.
I think we didn't
was
have
there
the second
I
one.
thought I was there for your first kid.
Okay,
But how old is
First
Jack
of all,
then?
we'll honor
Jack
you.
is turning 8
Oh,
tomorrow.
okay. Then I'm sorry. I'm wrong.
We'll
8.
honor you with like the fact that you're
He
the
might
very
have been
first
one-
in-person guest on this podcast,
Yeah.
by the way.
Really?
So that should be the very
Yes, you
honorable
are
thing.
first live guest.
I am the Duncan Trussell.
You're the Duncan Trussell.
Welcome.
Hey Kyle, can you go get the DMT real quick?
Right.
The mushrooms.
Yeah.
But you give a little Harry Carey in there. Be like, "Here's the bonus,
That
big
was
rock
a little
and
too Harry
cheese."
Carey.
Ooh.
I've never tried a Duncan Trussell impression, so that
He's
was
very high up there.
That
yeah.
was like raw attempt. I should have
And I'm not
rehearsed.
gonna lie, I don't know who that is.
I should have rehearsed.
Well, because
that.
you don't consume Joe Rogan podcasts. You're the only
I
person
don't.
in this world that
daily
doesn't.
for
I do
breakfast, lunch, and
consume-
dinner over
So
here.
okay, so we got four.
I do consume Joe Rogan podcast when I'm with you,
No,
and
that's being forced.
through you listening
Show
to
of
it
hands.
while you're working.
There's 4 people in this room, including Kyle right here. Show of hands. How many people consume Joe Rogan Experience podcast right here? I better see it. What? Really?
I'm picky. Yeah, I don't watch his.
Oh,
I don't
see?
watch the MMA
2
shows.
out of 2.
I usually don't watch.
no,
the,
he listens.
That's what I'm saying. 2 and 2.
Okay.
It's even. It's split.
Uh-huh.
I usually don't listen if it's a stand-up comedian or if it's a MMA show.
Uh-huh.
So I used to just pick and choose based on the guest.
Yeah.
So they're like, if it seemed like they had something important to say, or the guest was a lot of notoriety, then I'd watch that.
And Duncan
Something
Trussell is their guest.
Duncan, now Duncan might be the pure exception to that.
I
For sure.
really
I mean,
start-
that guy is a
Who,
clown.
who
but
is it? Stand-up comic?
He's in the stand-up comedian world. He's a podcaster.
Yeah,
He
and
used
he-
to work at the Comedy Store where they were all at.
Right.
he's a comedian. He's done some voiceover acting. He's got
Okay.
like a really unique voice, but the subject matter is always like psychedelic.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Interdimensional beings.
Yeah, dimensional stuff, and it's like they get kind of into like theoretical philosophy of the universe,
Yeah,
and
it hugs the tight line of socialism, interdimensional beings, pure
there's
happiness
a
and
lot
joy,
there.
nirvana.
all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds wonderful. I
He's
should
a
listen.
walking, talking mushroom. That's what.
Okay. Sounds
Yeah,
like a
he
good
kind
time.
of he thinks that mushrooms are like responsible for essentially everything.
Yes.
Oh, like people who are on them.
Well, people themselves
Yes.
even like that. Maybe a primate had tried mushrooms and became more cognizant and
Yeah,
aware.
yeah,
and,
yeah.
And
Certain
then and
things.
then people later on tried mushrooms and invented their sort of spirituality, and
Oh, I see.
it's like
yeah,
mushrooms
yeah. I
are
think you
always
had
the
talked
trigger
about
for
that.
everything.
Right.
Yeah. Mushrooms
Those
are
are
always the trigger.
those are our political values.
Yes, they
Um,
are.
so
So, what is it then? Like 7 years, maybe we've known you.
Sure,
Let's
call
say-
it.
let's
call
say
it
7.
7.
I believe Jack was maybe because we started going to. We met you through church.
Right.
And we started going there when Jack
And you were
was 5
married at
months
the
old.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We were married at that time.
We won't use names. We won't use names.
I see a beautiful segue.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be a soft joke.
Trapped. Checkmate.
And we going that direction.
No. So it's you were married at that time. Let's make up a name. What's a good Gwendolyn? You like Gwendolyn?
All right.
Is there you want to use a different one?
Gwen is fine.
Gwen, sure,
Gwenny.
Sure,
Gwen.
Well,
Yeah.
don't go Gwenny. Gwennies are like 7.
I've
You know
never
what I mean?
heard of that.
Gwenny. Also,
That's
who's
what I
naming
said.
their kids Gwen anymore? Meredith and Gwen are probably along the same lines. So you were married at that time when we met you guys. You were living an interesting life. You were probably the second couple that we've met that were interesting because the second couple we've met, the first couple, no, you guys were the first couple. The second couple we met that had an interesting lifestyle is the couple that decided to pack up their kids, and they'll be on the podcast, Brandon and
Oh, yes. The Morrises Go Mobile.
yeah, the Morrises Go Mobile. They packed up the whole family, got an RV, and traveled the country for over a year straight. And they just kind of bounced back and forth, lived out of this
Like
camper.
in a bus or a camper.
It's a
Like a
camper,
big,
yeah. A nice
camper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tow behind camper.
Yeah.
And
4
they're-
kids.
So I think what you're talking about is we did a year in a
Correct.
26 or 36 foot long fifth wheel.
Correct.
You guys did
Living
fifth wheel?
locally.
Yeah, Garden City RV campground. Yeah.
Now, did you guys have? I can't remember. Were you guys in a house before that? What were you guys living in before
Yeah,
that?
so we briefly came by way of Houston, Texas.
Okay.
And then we're only here for a few months living at Gwen's parents'
Mm-hmm.
house until we found a spot. And so she had, employment downtown. I had stuff going on Eagle. So we wanted a spot that was in between,
Right.
and affordable and kind of nice. And even back then, it sounds weird talking about like rent prices and quality and what you could afford
Right. I know.
in
now.
reference to 2014. But at the time, it seemed expensive.
Right.
$900 or
You're like,
something.
what?
Right.
Yeah.
Where is it all going to?
Oh my
So-
gosh! Now, yeah.
Yeah, so somehow we, figured out if we just bought a fifth wheel, we'd pay $436 a month for a spot. So we just paid cash for a camper.
Which
Yeah.
is brilliant because I remember talking to you. You're like, well, we wanted to be in proximity to the town. We wanted to be
You
close
guys
to all
were
these
right by the
activities.
river.
Right on the green
belt.
belt.
Yeah.
You could watch the fireworks from the baseball stadium like
So
every
cool.
home game on Fridays.
Which is so cool, man. In the summertime, nothing beats like summer is baseball. That's what it is. I'm not even a
Yeah.
baseball fan.
So we did that a lot.
Yeah, our
and then there's always like
semi-pro baseball team.
the
well,
Hawks.
they're trying. Hey, show
Hawks, they are
some
trying.
respect,
They are
okay?
trying.
Show some respect.
They're cute.
They're
I have
but-
never been to a single Hawks game, to be
Yeah.
honest. I lived here since I was 7 years old.
All these semi-pro teams, they're making a solid 36 grand a year, okay, to make sure that nobody else drafts them.
Yeah, I don't. You mean the individual players?
Well, from where I
'Cause I don't think
heard
individual players are making that
even that kind of money. I heard
They live with someone puts them up in a house,
Really?
and they
Oh,
live
man.
together or get kind of like a sponsor home. And
So is that what they call it, a farm league? Is that what that is? Like I've heard
Sure.
somebody explain this to me who's kind of in that world. They're like, what happens is, let's say the Yankees. I don't know diddly squat about
Yeah.
baseball, but you
Apparently.
got the
Apparently, you can tell.
you got the Yankees. Okay, you got the Yankees. And playing the Dodgers. So the Yankees will obviously they have a full roster. The
Yeah.
team is healthy, but they're always looking for talent and scooping that up. So they'll grab talent. And from my understanding is they'll sign them to go to these air quotes farm leagues where they'll basically being told to like you're playing the game, you're in the semi-pro team, and we basically sign a this exclusivity contract with you that nobody could sign you. And then if worse comes to worse and we need somebody or you're really a diamond in the rough, like we're gonna snatch you and put you in play. Is that not
Sure.
the case?
I mean, I guess so. I've never
Well,
analyzed the
We're-
strategy.
We have a fact checker right over
Yeah.
here.
I pull that up.
Check mark. Yeah.
I mean, I think that you can come in and out. Like you can bring someone up for a game or two, try them out, put them back
Right.
down. They do that in basketball as well. There was like a story of a guy in the D League. I think he's now in the Lakers. I totally forget his name now, but
That's not a good transition from baseball to
I wouldn't
basketball.
the
know.
point
Yeah.
is he played in the playoffs.
Oh,
and he was
interesting.
like just weeks ago sitting there
Uh-huh.
in like the league below.
Dang.
So I think you can come in and out.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we have the Hawks. That's an
Yeah.
interesting.
That was quite a
rabbit
segue.
trail,
Yeah.
Well,
over
that's what we
here.
do. As soon as they, oh, that's the
Going
exit.
back.
No,
we
we're
kind
gonna
of
get back
like
on the
to do
road.
these little loops and
Yeah.
come back.
Well,
Yeah.
nobody here has an ADD prescription or for Adderall.
Are either of you the person that brings the conversation back, or you're both?
I
just,
always feel. I
you're
feel
both
like I
just
do.
on the road.
You do it?
I always bring the conversation
Okay,
back.
okay.
He will rabbit trail all day long.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's called retention.
It's
Audience
called
retention.
next
That's where the
level.
gold is at.
Yeah.
That's where you find the nuggets.
How else are we gonna find it?
What are
Yeah.
you gonna have? A 17 minutes of like, what else is new with
Yeah.
you?
No, I'll be telling a story and I'm trying to like tell it, and then
Right.
he will always like bounce off of like something I say, and then we're 10 minutes deep into talking about my period.
Oh, jeez. Is that what I missed?
Yeah, that was last week. Did you know that gals can? I'm not gonna go too far into
we
it,
need
but
to go back.
they
We
can
need to go
reset
back.
their period cycle. So if typically the gal's like, I have a 7-day
I don't
window
think Rich
period.
wants to know
on
this.
the third week
Oh,
of the month,
gosh.
this is important.
This is
gosh.
This is
super
important.
critical. Yeah. Tell me.
Oh no.
How
That-
do they do it? You
that-
got burp, fart, and sneeze at the same time.
No, if
And then it's reset.
chloroquine, hydrochloroquine, ivermectin.
Ivermectin. Yeah.
Okay.
That's how you reset it.
Yeah.
Oh, and we're getting shut down.
Yep, that's it. Canceled.
Oh, anywho,
If this hasn't
bring
been,
us back.
if this wasn't demonetized before you reached
It is
ivermectin, then
surely
something the
now.
algorithm was
Surely the
yeah,
algorithm
broken.
will not like us.
is
Going
great.
back, we went to the Hawks.
Yeah, so that's where you guys
So you
live.
guys
Yeah.
had that fifth
Yep.
wheel. You said.
And I feel like we talked about this maybe with Jared, but you know, like because I thought you really loved the story when the carnival would come to town, and they, you know,
Oh, like with your proximity to where you lived?
yeah,
No,
so-
I'd be terrified because we know the people who work at the carnival. They're not the people you want to
Dude,
watch your
this-
kids.
I knew this is a big chunky piece of meat for you. It's like you're gonna love. You're just gonna eat this up.
Well, yeah, you
because-
guys were by the fairgrounds.
So the
huh?
fairgrounds is right. It's
Yep.
right connected to the ballpark. So in
Yeah.
some ways, you get obviously you can go check out the events. But when the fair comes to town, they all stay right there at the campground, and they
I
just
didn't know that.
you know some have campers, but it just becomes tent city.
Do they?
Yeah,
Tent
and
camp,
they
too.
like come out of their tents like in a polo and their dress pants, like ready to go to work at the carnival, but they're sleeping in
Crazy.
just a random.
I
little
had no
packed
idea
up
that
tent.
they stayed there.
And
Yeah.
they're traveling, so they're basically like traveling employees, right? What
Yeah.
this
They must.
Yeah, they're called carnies.
I've heard
Can
that
we say
term.
that? Are we allowed to say that?
I think so. That word hasn't been canceled yet. So
It hasn't. That's true.
the other
Hasn't
C
been
word
said as
you can
often.
use.
The
is
other
carnies. Carnies. That'll be your caption for
Yeah.
this.
So did you
episode,
guys-
maybe.
See- you guys, like,
C
walk
word
to the
is for
fair?
carnies.
So yeah, you just like start walking down the green belt, and there just be all these little tents and stuff around of like
So
carnies
are they allowed to
doing
have
whatever
tents?
they do.
Because I know, like, you could have campers and stuff there.
Mhm.
You could have tents there too. Oh, I didn't know
Yes.
that.
Yep, they had tent spots. It's just, I mean, like other campgrounds. Sometimes
Yeah.
they've got little pads, or sometimes they just had grass.
That's true.
So
yeah.
when when we first bought the camper, we made a bad assumption that because it was on a lot at the campground, that it had rights to that. It could stay there.
Mm-hmm.
So we bought it, and then they were like, "All right, how are you getting this thing out of here?" And what? We want to stay. No, you can't stay. That spot was rented for 1 week, and and the end of this week,
Oh.
we've got long-termers coming. So you get in the back of the line. There's 52 people behind you,
And you
Oh
don't
my
have a truck because when we met
or
you,
in front of you. I mean,
you had you guys had you and Gwendolyn.
Yeah.
You guys had I think it was a Ford Focus.
yeah, I think a Focus at the time.
So
yeah.
and it was a fifth wheel camper, so there's
How
no
did
way
you-
to hook
yeah.
up to it.
How did you get out of
So
there?
you could pay it. Well, we didn't. So we just had to like plead
Figure it
our
out,
case, right?
yeah.
And of course, at first, it's like nothing I can do.
Sorry.
There's a huge long line in front of you, and we're like, well, is there like another spot? Can you put it over here in the grass where there's like no water, no electricity? We'll just like run a water hose to it, and we're just gonna make all these exceptions.
Right.
And then she starts feeling sad for us, right?
Like, we can't.
Yeah,
move
like
it.
we were counting on living here, and we're gonna live here long term, and we're gonna rent this place. We're gonna not bother you. We're gonna pay our
We're
bill
gonna
on
build a
time.
second story to it. We're gonna add exceptions to it.
I'll be working here next
Yeah,
week, and then
yes. And
So
it'll be fine.
So that was one strategy was to hack the Excel sheet that they've gotten.
You're gonna go Ocean's
That was
11 on that.
option one, huh?
yeah. So
Which option was that down the list? Plan B?
Luckily, we didn't have to get there because it's yeah, she made an exception. Originally was going to just put us in the grass.
Oh God, Rich, please
And
don't tell
then-
me you hit her.
No.
Okay, good.
No, he just.
And I didn't have to
he gave
romance her
the puppy,
either.
He gave her the puppy
okay.
dog eyes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they just called me one day and were like, "Well, we moved some people around, and you can just stay."
You
in
know
the
what that
spot.
means when the mob says,
We moved
Yeah,
people around.
the Johnson family is no longer inquiring
Ew.
for this spot.
"We in the distribution business."
Listen.
So yeah, so we like negotiated our way into just keeping the trailer on that.
So you
spot.
never had to move it.
Never moved
Nice.
until we eventually we did eventually move out into an apartment, and so we had to pay a guy to take a truck
And you
and
kept-
put it into storage.
Did you keep the
Yeah,
camper?
we tried to sell it for a little bit and it just didn't sell. So I learned a very important lesson about just like Craigslist in Boise, because I came from Houston. It's
Yeah.
a big city.
Right.
You can move things that
Yeah.
cost a significant amount of
Yeah.
money, and that trailer is maybe about $20,000
Mm-hmm.
in Boise. That's a very slow transaction, and cash is king. And so I thought, like the housing market is very hot at the time, and it is especially now. You get an offer, you like the thing, you just need to give the guy what he wants.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not haggle, like it's in the spot, let's go. And then when I tried to sell it, it was just like this nothing after nothing. It was, somebody leading me on or wanting to trade some
Right.
old boats.
Yeah, I was gonna
for
say,
it.
Oh,
would you take
trading
a
is
sound
huge here.
system and a carburetor
Yeah.
and a battery?
I have a couch.
The most
Would you like to
common
trade?
was, will you take a payment system? And
my
it's
God.
like,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
I will let you hitch
Yes.
my trailer up to your truck and drive it over to Oklahoma, and I'll just hope that you pay me
Pay me.
$500 a month.
Do you have
Or-
PayPal?
Yeah. Or people would say, they'd tell me their sad story about why they can't afford rent and why they're looking for a place. And I would remind them, like, well, even if you got a payment plan with me for $500 a month and you pay $400 for your spot, you're back to $900 a
Right.
month. You should
The
just
same.
get a place for $900 a
Yeah.
month. They're all planning on just skipping out on me, right? And just
Yeah.
taking
Yes.
off with my trailer. So it was just a lot of that. And it was, sad stories about, people, I can't get a place because of this reason or that reason. And I'm just like answering these emails kind of saying, sorry. Yeah. Like I just need somebody to buy this. So I ended up selling it back to the person we bought it from
What?
for a very big discount.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
So-
he wanted one. He's like, hey, I,
I
know
mean,
you still have it.
he liked it, and it had been one of the reasons we were attracted to it is it had been redone. Like all the cabinetry was all the special walnut, and it was very livable. And we had kind of sold some of the things out of it to get a little bit of money, and then he didn't like that, and he didn't. I don't know, some of the just living in it and having it be under rain for a year or for it being exposed had some other things that he didn't like. So he lowballed me, and he knew I was in a really bad place. So he got it back for a huge
Side
discount.
note, I believe you were the one who gave us a rice cooker. Was it?
You
it was
did
white.
give us a
And
rice
we
cooker.
still have it.
We have
Wow.
a small portion rice cooker. You know, most rice cookers are
like
like,
a little-
feed a family of
it's like a
12.
small one.
Sure.
You had like
still have it.
a small rice cooker.
I don't remember
Let's
that
bring
story
it
at
in.
all.
Hey, look
Yeah.
We need to
You
set
thought
it in
you were
the
going to
middle.
come away empty-handed from this show. Here is a
I
new
just
rice
remembered.
cooker.
I believe
Bring it
it.
in.
I'm pretty sure it was you who gave it to us, and there was something else that maybe. No, but it was for sure the rice cooker.
That
Like,
is
look, He came
hilarious.
home one day. Was like, Rich was like, "Do you want a rice cooker?" And I took
How
it.
did that transaction of
And
the
we
rice
just
cooker happen?
brought it to church or something one day?
Probably.
Yeah.
You were probably
Hey,
like,
anybody
giving
want this
several-
rice cooker before we leave?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So-
Were you at the trailer or something?
I have no
I
idea. It was
have
him.
no
It was all
idea.
him.
Yeah, and you guys never came over to the trailer, right?
No,
We-
no.
We had people over one time, and it's nice that you could put people under the awning, have a fire.
Yeah.
Just
you're
hang out.
you're camping, right? So
Yeah.
it's cute and quaint to come visit.
Those
but-
are the best actually camping times is the evening times where you just kind of hang out outside by the camper because you're done with the sticky beach stuff. So you're like, so essentially being by the river and then like close to downtown, you're like, hey, like this is the most like we can hear the ballpark game on right now. Like come on
Kind of
over.
cool. You can walk
And
everywhere.
I thought I was going to become king of the river.
Oh, yeah?
I was going to be Mr. Fly Fishing guy. Like,
Oh,
I
fly
would just
fishing
go out
guy.
after work when it starts to get dusky, and I would just catch fish all the time.
Bring
right?
dinner home.
And I'd learn all the secrets of the river and everything. And so
Did you?
I was there for the whole year.
Yeah.
Did not catch one.
Not one?
single fish
Fly
in that river.
fishing's hard though. I heard.
Did you
And-
put flies on your fly rod?
I did.
Did you ever catch a fish?
One.
Fly fishing?
Well, two actually. One was like about 4 inches long, and I caught it accidentally. I was dragging the line back
Yeah.
while I was like walking. I'm like, I'm done for the day. I'm like, oh, I'm
There you
skunked.
go.
He
And
never
then like
caught
this
one
like
either.
dead fish on it, and then
But
one
he probably didn't try as
Dead
hard.
fish caught by the gut.
right, got it by the uterus. You know what I mean? And then the second one was it was a catch and release place in Hagerman. with Ken and all those other guys.
Like you can barely see the water from all the fish that are swirling
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Gross.
I shot one with a pistol. There's so many.
I got one.
Kidding,
but not
folks.
fly fishing.
Kidding.
Right?
I didn't
Were
shoot.
you fly fishing that
Yes,
second time too?
fly fishing.
So being a part of the campground, this is one of the cooler stories. Is I was fly fishing and some older guys would walk by on the greenbelt and they were like, "Hey, what are you using there? Show me." And I came over and showed them what I had, and they were like laughing, and it was embarrassing.
Were you
like,
using bees?
That's exactly.
Is that what they said to you?
He's like, "What is this? A bumblebee? You got a bee on you?"
Hey, careful for the wasps.
The wasps.
So yeah, so they like showed me a much better setup, and I started getting some bites after
Oh.
that. But they were in town to fly fish, and they were like really, really good. They're like, "Come on over to our trailer. We'll show you some stuff." And so the
Oh.
guys brought like their own fly tying kits in their trailers.
That's
like,
cool.
They were super
You met
serious
some
about it.
professionals, yeah.
That's
So
so
yeah,
funny.
occasionally we would meet some folks, and they're like. We'd be throwing a frisbee around in the trailer park in the grass, and then some guy would come over and say, like, you know, I was around in the '60s when this first got started, and I was part.
Yeah.
And you would just tell, trade off some cool stories.
That's
So,
cool.
so you met some interesting people, and then you met some carnies.
Interesting. So
Some
now
other interesting people.
it was interesting because we were kind of in communication pretty frequently, and then a lot of things kind of just dropped off. And then because we followed you, we followed Gwendolyn.
Yeah.
There was almost like this kind of disconnect where you look through people's stuff, their social media.
Well, it's like the whole Facebook friends thing where like you see people posting and then all of a sudden you don't really see them posting anymore.
I did that with a UFC fighter just this morning, Cody Garbrandt. And I was
Okay.
like, wait. He's posting.
Is he the California dude?
He's a
with
California
with the long hair.
No, he's not. He's. I know who you're talking about though. He's this
Okay.
older guy in his 40s, right?
I recognize Cody.
Cody Garbrandt is the sexiest guy with a neck tattoo. He's the only guy who can pull off a neck tattoo.
Okay.
Um,
I got it now.
Looking him up right now.
Pull that up.
Yeah.
Pull that up, Kyle.
Look
need to
up
see it.
Cody Garbrandt hot, please.
Type in Cody Garbrandt.
Hot.
So I was like, because I know his wife was a lot on his social media, and I was like, they're not there. So like, I obviously did a stalker thing, and I scrolled 20 scrolls through, and I was like, oh
She's
crap,
not anywhere
she's.
near.
I don't think so.
Oh,
So that was kind of
yeah.
like with you guys. I was like, how come I'm not seeing the two together, you and Gwenny, and which is not her name, and
Don't try to look her
yeah,
up.
don't be like
How many times are you
yeah.
gonna repeat that? Yeah.
Right. And so then we were kind of talking about James. Like, hey, like, is something going on there? And then somehow, do you know how that?
I have no
Did we
idea. I
bring
don't
it up?
remember.
Did we ever call you or text you or?
You might have texted.
I felt like you would have noticed that before by just me coming to the city church by myself.
Yeah.
For a little bit.
I don't think we were going there at that time
Okay.
when.
Got it. Yeah, you made the
I
change.
think we
for
had
your
already.
kids and
Yeah.
stuff. So that was your fault.
So
Yeah, we procreated.
yeah.
we moved out of the
Okay.
city. No, we just moved a little farther away. So we started going to a different church, and so that's why I think
Yeah.
we didn't notice anything. It was because we just didn't go there anymore.
Yeah.
It was during that transition of
Gotcha,
The evening
yeah.
services
evening
and stuff.
Yeah, social media is such an interesting thing, and as I've like backed out, and I tried to back out more, not in related topics, but just over time realizing that I just wasn't getting
Yeah.
value from a lot of these platforms. It's
You ever
like,
tried Parlor? I heard it's really booming right now.
You've got like a life you put together, and you built a little advertisement
Yeah.
for it, and you've got a brand and stuff,
Right.
and then you've got to tear all that out after a relationship. And so I definitely I was like, it's going to be a long time before I put somebody else back on my social media platform, because that's just like inviting everyone into your personal life, which I don't think anybody should think twice of, especially your first go around.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
no hesitation. Just go 100% and just be really proud of that person and live your life together as a unit
Right.
and be on
It
Facebook
is hard.
and do all that, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you've had to undo that,
Right.
it really messes with your head.
Yes.
Yeah, that's tough.
I can only imagine how much messier things are when you have social media
Yeah.
and everybody's knows.
It's like I have to. Yeah, I think that's a great way you introduce it. You're like, I have to introduce the world to this part of my life. Like I don't want to do that. Like it's so hard. It's so hard and complicated. And when you go like, I don't want to start that again. I don't want to be like, Anywho, I wanted to. So as I don't know at what point we got the confirmation. Okay, I don't think they're together. The next we want to spin. I don't want to spin this a certain way. I want to kind of dissect it. But the way I want to dissect it is, in my perspective, when I kind of encountered the situation, I was like, and I don't know about you, but I was like, this is kind of like a murder mystery thing.
Oh, okay.
Because it wasn't so cut and dry. And this is why I mean that. I don't mean like you killed her, she killed you, or whatever. But it almost seemed like, in my perspective, there was a name change. Wasn't there a name change that happened?
That's how I found out about it.
Yeah.
It was like
Gwendolyn was no longer
person-
Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn is now freaking Sarah. You know?
Yeah, and it was like, oh, like there must have been something that happened. But the thing that sucks about also social media is like there's always, like people start suspecting stuff, and there's a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Constitution?
Yes, close. Speculation.
Oh,
Okay.
So you were close.
yeah, that's
You know what I'm saying? So it's like it sucks with social media because everybody starts speculating, and then like things get, you know, all like out of hand. But anyway, so I think that's how initially I asked you. I was like, have you talked to Rich? Because this person changed their name on Facebook.
The name change is the only thing that struck my attention. The
Yeah.
name change and going to a tropical country.
And then I think what I did, I just took my relationship status out of Facebook. So
Okay.
instead of changing
Did you keep
it-
your Facebook page?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kept it.
You're not going to fool these two detectives, okay?
Facebook
We are the
has
Mosey boys.
Facebook has just like a button. Like if you go to block somebody, they're just like, "Do you want them completely gone?" And then
Yeah.
they're like,
to kill.
Totally true.
More
You can
Russian
hide them for
stuff,
30
yeah.
days. You
Are
can
you
unfollow
sure?
them. You
no,
can
but
block
they'll,
them.
they'll like they've got a feature that if you block somebody, they're like, "Do you want us to untag all these photos or delete these photos or like archive them
Facebook
if
knows.
you're with them?" You're right. They
Interesting.
they have a process in place. It's like sign up for our divorce package A. You know?
Yeah. Which package
So,
would you like?
right.
Yeah,
I'm
the
like-
A is like we're still friends. B is like it was a bad breakup.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I clicked on one of those and it just you know sort of disappears after that.
Right.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Other
That's
people
fantastic.
can find her super easy. It's not like she's gone, but for me,
Yeah.
I don't.
Did I ever tell you this? I actually ran into her at Lowe's, but she didn't see me. I think she was with her parents.
And you dove into some bins real quick.
Yeah.
And,
He just dug his head in.
Like things are tumbling. No, it was. It was so weird to me, and I want
that's
you
why-
to.
and this is a really good reason why you should only ever go to Home Depot. By the way,
Oh.
Facts.
But
Fact. The amount of the brands that I work with, they're like, stop going to Lowe's. I'm like, it's so close.
you know what's funny? Both times by our old house, we lived closer to Lowe's than Home Depot.
Same
And this
time.
house, we lived
Same
closer
time.
to Lowe's than Home Depot.
I'm like, can
Same
you guys just like
distance.
relocate me somewhere?
Seriously.
But so break this part down a little bit for both us and whoever's listening. So it's like it was okay. So that happened, and you did the Facebook thing. Okay, so we kind of archived and erased whatever that was there, and then what was going on? Because this is the only part that really caught my attention is like the name change, tropical country. And within weeks, and I don't know if I'm being too gracious with weeks, maybe it was less than that, but it was like new relationship, new identity. That's what I feel like. It felt like to me, it was like it was a new identity.
yeah.
What from your perception, how did you kind of understand that?
I just gotta think a little bit about here, play some mental judo with you because I want to I don't want to put something out there that's just, hey, internet, here's all the things that I think somebody did that were bad.
Right.
I'm not really interested in having a conversation to just like point a finger and say this
No.
person did these things and this is what happened. So let me just try to answer that. And if it's too vague or whatever, I guess press more. But
Okay.
so what you saw was that she went to Mexico, to Cabo,
Okay.
and took off in a vehicle in our car, and then eventually found a guy who was working
She drove within so she got a car in Mexico
the day of.
and then drove kind of exploring
The
the city.
day of what?
So
Getting to Cabo.
Oh.
no.
No?
So
let's
she came. All right.
backtrack a little.
See, this is why jiu-jitsu is better than judo.
Okay, I should have used jiu-jitsu, huh?
Darn.
All right, so she comes back from a trip to Cabo that night, packs up a car in Idaho,
Okay.
and drives to Cabo.
I didn't know you can drive to Cabo.
You can.
Through what route?
Through Mexico. It's all land.
Do you take the land bridge that happened after the Ice Age?
You have to go down
Do you go through,
the
like,
peninsula.
Okay.
You have to go down the peninsula to go through, like LA.
So she went to Cabo, liked
yes.
Cabo, came back from Cabo from vacation, and then got a car, packed up, and drove to Cabo.
Yeah, that's the G-rated version.
And going to Cabo was the G. Let's keep it G-rated.
I don't know if this is too forward, but the first trip, were you guys still married?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so
We were married when she went to Cabo.
The first time.
oh, okay.
We were married.
That's a great
when
question.
She packed up and went and left.
were you? Was it like were you guys an argument or something like that?
We did not complete a divorce until
Oh,
months.
okay. So you're ready. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
she had the papers notarized in Mexico.
So when people are like, I need to go clear my head, and they go for a walk in town.
Some people go to
Some
Cabo.
people go to. Okay, that's fine. So she goes to clear her head in Cabo, comes back, packs up a car, and then drives to Cabo. She's like, Cabo is legit. Cabo is like the next Parma.
What
okay?
were you told was the reason to leave to Cabo? Is there, you can be very vague.
Yeah, there's not really a good way of like
Right.
answering that's gonna not seem like I'm just painting her in a
Right,
bad
right,
light.
right.
It's just not a very respectful way to answer that. I don't think.
Sure.
We can.
I would say that the city was not important. I mean,
Right.
maybe the idea of surfing and living on the beach and good weather and
Right.
more.
there were
It's
other-
more of a psychological, I think, temptation of starting over and
Right.
escaping.
It's
and
like a romanticism of like starting from scratch or something like that.
my parents aren't here. My family's not here. My husband's not here. My failures aren't here.
Oh, interesting.
Oh.
Interesting.
So therefore, I'm not
Interesting.
here.
And I wanted, and I remember I asked you, I was like, "Hey, is it okay if we like kind of spin the conversation towards this direction?" Because I was like, I don't want to cross anything, and I don't want to like put like. And you were like, I don't want to speak ill of anybody, and I wanted to be respectful to you on that. I want to make sure that no part of this conversation is going to be about putting somebody down or shaming somebody. I just thought it was such an interesting and unique story that, like, I had my heart broken. I've proposed twice before her, and so I know about Hotel Heartbreak. You know what I mean? Hotel Heartbreak. And so to me, like, I was like, I just want to hear the story because you listen to a lot of true crime, and this is why I keep going back to this true crime thing. Is like
we're really trying to force it into
sad.
that genre.
Because the classic breakup is like that I've experienced, the majority of people experience is like, hey, this is not working out. I don't understand why. And they don't get an answer, and then they go get drunk, and the next thing you know, they met somebody a month later, and then you're like, oh, couldn't I offer you that same Bud Light? But that doesn't happen. In the situation, the story spun us a different direction, and I just kind of wanted to get the whole picture painted. So she packed that. She went to Cabo.
I'm not gonna be able to answer all of those things for you
no.
on the show.
Yeah.
I'll tell you all that stuff.
No, we're
another
we're
time.
good.
Sure, yeah.
Do you have a hot tub?
I do have a hot tub.
We do.
So you just invite me over to the hot tub.
Well, these are waterproof mics.
I'll sit there and tell you the whole thing.
So-
you can secretly record it with your.
So she went to Cabo. She came
They're
back.
secret mics.
Understood that it was a breakaway to a carefree life. Went back over there. Where did the different name change happen? Was it a real name or is it a?
Well, she met a guy.
Okay.
Down there.
I've seen the
I don't know
guy.
what you saw. Did you see a first name change?
Can I also tell
No,
you
it
this?
was just a last
Can I also
name
tell-
change.
I saw the guy. I'd still pick you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. He seems short to me. He seemed a little too short to me. Okay. You both have the same scruff. Okay. You in the sunlight a little bit more, although you play ultimate frisbee, so you absorb enough vitamin D.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like tall guys.
Okay,
That's
appreciate
just me.
Alex is a thing.
that is what got me in the door with my current fiance for sure.
Whoa,
I don't know if you even
Congratulations.
knew. Yeah.
I didn't know that engaged.
How recent?
We got engaged in I think June, like June 19th.
Congrats.
Did you put a nice ankle bracelet on her to to tether her?
So going back to Facebook, and you were saying that
Yeah,
you didn't want
that's
to
on
post
there.
a lot.
That's
I was
on-
just
that's
gonna
on there.
the engagement.
You allowed for her to get
I
on
haven't
Facebook?
seen it.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's
Yeah.
on. I did see you post a picture.
We had like
of-
an Easter picture. We had some.
It was just like a few days ago.
We had some
You at a
Vegas
wedding.
pictures. Then I
So that's-
officiated
that's
a
right.
wedding
You did?
this last week.
You officiated your own wedding?
No.
Oh, no.
Can you
You
imagine?
should actually. You should do a two-face
A
thing.
little
You
puppet
should.
is
Yes.
what we'll do.
Jeff
Do that like
I'm not sure if I would be
well-
if the husband or the groom would be the puppet or the officiant would be the puppet.
it could go either way, really.
Yeah.
in today's time.
That is how I rehearse for the wedding, though, is that I've got the groom
got
over
the-
here and the
yeah.
bride here, and then I
Yeah.
can practice.
Congrats.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Incredible.
When's the wedding?
April 2nd.
Can I be your
Oh.
flower boy?
I'll ask Marin.
I saw a flower guy thing
Flower
video.
guy?
It was the guy's like walking around. He's got a
Of course,
basket.
it's like a 30-year-old bro.
Yeah. And he's throwing like beers to people, and the people he doesn't want to throw beers, he throws like flowers on their face.
Just in their face. Oh, that's good.
Did the basket have like his fraternity logo on there?
Delta Kappa Pi.
Oh my gosh, I could see you doing something like that. If
That's
somebody's
great.
wedding.
I got a fanny
It's
pack,
good.
so I don't know if that's a deal breaker or
He
not.
just
but
unzips
yeah.
it, throws the
Man,
petals out.
I don't know if we got a deal.
Yeah.
We'll work it through. Okay, so
He can be very persuasive. I will tell you that.
All right.
Very.
so you I wanted to say something about it, but I didn't
Maybe
want
don't.
to question anything. So the name change.
Yeah.
I saw a first
It was
name
just-
change.
No, it was just a last name.
So what? So did she get remarried?
She could have went back to her maiden name, but then she did get remarried. Yes.
So I think that's what it was.
Oh,
it
I
was
wonder if
she went
that
back
was
to her
the
maiden
maiden
name.
name.
Yeah, and then
Oh,
and then
interesting.
changed
You probably
it.
just saw it back to the maiden name, and then she did get remarried. I think she might have changed social media name for that one, and then she did get separated from that guy.
Social media. That's what I remember. It was her first name.
social media.
Her first name was
No,
changed.
no.
It wasn't. I think I'm creating.
He has
something.
the worst memory.
Are your viewers going to be able to follow any
I
of
know.
this?
Probably not,
Who
but they'll have
sits
a good
there
ride.
and is like, I really like Mr. Build It. I'm going to watch him and his wife and some friend talk about a relationship that I don't understand and know about.
You
And
know
they're going
what?
to talk about it in terms
They're
that I'm not
along.
going to get. And I'm going to watch this for a solid 45 minutes.
Can I be
Hey,
honest with you?
they're along for the ride.
Can I be honest with you? So this was very intentional. I saw that nobody wants to watch renovation videos anymore. So I'm starting
Next.
Mr. Counselor.
Yeah. What I'm seeing out there as the trend is competition shows. So you need to figure out how to make a competition show.
Me
They're
and
all-
you building a bathroom.
We just watched the big flower fight. So if you can imagine people building things out of flowers,
Interesting.
Oh.
Interesting.
that's
That's
worth
a whole
watching.
show
Yeah,
about
people.
that, huh?
I mean, we watched a barbecue show.
Yeah.
They got shows
Backyard
out there for
barbecue.
Cook-offs,
Yeah. Shout out Chris
yeah.
DiStefano.
I
who's-
do
Obviously
think those
for-
are really interesting.
Yeah.
I agree with
That's
you.
the format, man. Everybody wants to see competition. They want to see a judge. They want to see a flamboyant judge.
Judging
So you want to
people,
rip me?
yeah.
stuff.
You
Yes.
missed.
And rip people apart.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm ripping is the gas that I had from like Los Betos the night before. Like,
So just think about it.
yeah.
We will. I
Put
think
it in
that's
the-
a great
put it in the
idea.
vault.
Light bulb.
Okay, so I don't want to dig too much into this more because I see how happy you are. Like I'm so glad you share these news, the news that like you're engaged.
I could be sadder if
And
you
you're
want.
well-
that's what you think the viewers want as well.
Well, I clearly sent
What
you a
the
text
people
message. I
want.
said I need you to bring the sadness, and you turn
Come
it up.
somber.
But clearly, yeah, come somber. Let me ask you this. So, like I mentioned before, I've had my heart broken plenty of times.
Why are you pointing to me?
Well, because you were the cause.
He's like, I've had my
Yeah.
heart broken plenty of
It's
times.
a body language
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. I'm turning
He's
my-
cueing.
my-
Yeah, we can
Sorry,
see
my-
it.
that was a brain
clavicle.
disconnect where I was supposed to point at you for the
Yeah.
following statement. But now, being happy in my life,
Oh,
this is
thank
what
you.
I'm
Thank you
fingers
very
with
much.
this.
Yeah.
Being
there-
extremely happy with
before
an
I met
amazing wife.
before I met her, all those heartbreaks were pulled into one bucket, and I kind of like almost I was the puppy dog that was stomped on, and I kind of victimized myself, right? And then when I met her, and being 9 years married now, it like everything got erased. So I never like go back to that place of like.
Thinking
Why
back.
was I not enough? What I didn't do? What did this other guy have and whatnot? Do you, seeing how happy you're in your life now, as messed up as that situation was, or I know you didn't want to put anybody down, as
Yeah.
unfortunate
Yeah,
as
that's all
it
right.
was.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Do you go back to any of those places, or do you feel like it's whatever? It happened. It's a chapter. There's just another chapter now.
Yeah, so I think after something kind of more traumatic happens, I think the concept of chapters goes away a little bit. And one of the things one of my band members told me actually one time, he's like, Rich, in a little while it'll seem like that was an entirely different life.
Oh, that's
And that has definitely been true, for better and worse, no pun intended on the marital language. But in some sense, the negative things are they feel so distant because it does feel like an entirely different person did that, an entirely different life did that. It's like I'm watching it in more of a third person. Then on the flip side, it's hard to retain, like it's hard to make someone new come into my life and prioritize them and engage them in a meaningful way because I'm sort of waiting for that distant like separation again, or I'm keeping them in a little compartmentalized chamber where I'm ready to just kind of move on and live my own life at any moment. And because I've kind of more or less learned that's a possibility. So that's the sort of unhealthy side of it. But the healthy side is like, I don't dwell on things from that relationship, but I also don't feel responsible for a lot of that stuff either. So, I do think that, you know, a couple people going through stuff, especially young, you're learning stuff together. Just go through it together. Just learn it together. Go through a rough year together. Go through 2 rough years together. Get counseling together.
What's that togetherness look like? That's interesting, because I mean, like, in terms of execution, what does that look like? The
communication, probably.
The far end of the spectrum is abandonment. So you just give up and you walk away. But maybe you, like, if you can't stand being with that person for the moment, so you need to physically separate or sleep in different rooms, or but like stay committed to try that relationship out. Like, if whatever the issue is, if that's an attitude issue, a money issue, a life issue, a location, or a sexual issue, or whatever your issue is, like, commit to getting through it. You know, I'm going to get through this with my partner because I love them and care about them. And then, you know, maybe you go to counseling, maybe you need to actually practice things and read things and commit things and write things. And there's a long process of like living your life with a person and staying committed in a way that's like, I'm going to keep showing up. And I think maybe that's bottom line. Sure. What does it look like? Keep showing up.
Oh, interesting.
So until the point where one of you says, I'm totally out, turn your back, walk away, make decisions that are completely irreconcilable, which really is just a continued decision. So I think you can make 1 decision, 2 decisions, whatever, you can still come back. But when you make a sort of a committed posture of abandonment, that's when you're no longer obviously together.
Right.
So sorry, it's a little too
No, that's
petty.
great. No, I think that was perfect. I think that was exactly perfect. I think there's a lot of people who need to hear that. Here's what I want to follow up with, another question that's along the same lane. As a young, good-looking dude who went through that, what's one thing? Because right now we're talking about, like,
what else am I?
The upset. Well,
continue, please.
Go on.
You tall,
talented,
you beautiful, you talented, right?
Yeah.
You're generous lover, right? From what I hear, right? But
it could be part of the issue,
because I knew you. I don't think I knew you when you were a guest on our the Pillow Talk podcast. Were you dating this person at that time?
Well, I don't think so.
No.
When was that?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Marin would remember. She's got incredibly good memory.
Marin sounds like this one.
Yeah, she's got.
I do have a good memory.
Really,
if I was there, I
memory,
would remember.
She would know that I would have said at one point, "Hey, I want to go do a podcast.
I want to do a podcast.
I want to podcast with my friends."
Here's where I'm going with that is being a young stallion as yourself. What helped you through the healing process?
Ooh. I would say I went through more of a wilderness right away than a healing process.
You went in the woods and did some weird stuff?
Yeah,
you went right to the wilderness.
Mentally. Yeah. I went to the philosophical woods for sure.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah, I mean, to use an analogy, a biblical one, you know, the Exodus from Egypt to the Promised Land. And, you know, it's like, well, the wandering that took place there.
The 40 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I would say is like, there was a period of time where I'm like, I don't know that I want to identify a purpose. Before, I was very singular minded, just like, this is what I want. This is when I want it. I'm going to make a list of how to get there. I'm going to go really, really deliberately after these things. And so, like, getting married was one of those main priorities. Did the same for school, did the same for work, did the same for personal development, whatever the goal is, go at it like, boom. And then afterwards, it's kind of like, well, I don't know, like, what was all that for necessarily? Where's the payoff? Start questioning some of the system that undermines that the motivation. And so being in the wilderness is like not having a written or described or communicated purpose, and being a lot more just like whatever happens and going back into the dating world, being more blank, I guess. And then if somebody wanted to, you know, talk about the future of a relationship, I would really struggle with that because it's like, well, I don't know. I'm just kind of here at the moment and not really in a capacity or in a place where I'm interested in, making commitments and having purpose. So that was the path that I went through to ultimately to arrive somewhere in the ballpark of healing. But I would say I probably didn't really have any meaningful healing for 3 years until I met Marin.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so she came from a home that was a lot more emotionally intelligent and made everyone articulate their emotions. And she held me to that standard that other women just weren't willing to push me, honestly. I mean, I don't think they're going to listen to your show, but if they do, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I wasn't in a place.
Should have
When
made
you
your name different.
When you articulated these feelings, was it in the format of one of those guys that hold signs and they wrote something and they just move the flashcards, from behind
or
them?
they move the.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do not.
You don't know?
It was a big thing,
TikTok. It's on TikTok where it's
I don't have TikTok, and I'm very proud.
It's
I wear that as a badge.
God, you are just a unicorn, right?
Yeah, I wear that as a proud badge that I don't have TikTok.
I just got TikTok. I don't.
Let's be honest. You called it Tic Tac.
I did
once.
call it. I was on a podcast and called it Tic Tac.
I will say a lot of the videos that show up on Facebook really. I
Are from
only
TikTok.
have Snapchat and Facebook. So yeah.
You have Snapchat?
I do.
What
Yeah.
do you also have?
Wait a
MySpace too? Get out of here.
Snapchat?
That's who's on Snapchat?
All the teens are on Snapchat.
How many nudes
They're
are
all
you
on TikTok.
sending to Marion?
It's because they go away.
All the
Well, I
kids are on
guess-
Snapchat, aren't they?
All the kids?
I think they are. I do think.
Yes, kids.
Why do you want
They're
all
playing
the kids?
Fortnite and going on Snapchat. What is
All the
wrong with
kids.
you?
Yes, Rich. All of the middle school,
can't-
high schoolers are on Snapchat.
I will say this. So
We came from such a beautiful place right now, and then all of a sudden this guy's on Snapchat. Okay, go ahead.
Snapchat was definitely a requirement for dating women who are between 24 and 27, 8 years old. They have Snapchat. They want to use Snapchat. The other thing is I have some teammates on the Ultimate team who will never respond to a text message. But if you send them a snap, they respond.
I have some people like that with DMs on Instagram.
I have 8 tenants. So I sometimes use Snapchat. I talk with them. They're in that demographic of
yes.
a lot of them are female in that 25-year-old range. They use Snapchat.
That is so interesting.
So I don't think I would necessarily need to use Snapchat, but it is a way to get a hold of a group of people who do not like to respond to
You
texts.
have 8 tenants.
Yeah.
This is another reason why I'm sexually confused about you and attracted. How old are you?
I'm 30. Well, I'll be 33 on Sunday.
Hey, you're just a little bit behind.
Happy birthday.
I
You and Jack.
I love.
Today he is 33 years old.
I
Name
turned.
that movie?
Is it Nacho
Libre?
Libre?
It's Three Amigos.
Oh, three is
You had the right country.
Yeah.
We were close just because of the accent.
The Spanish descent.
That's what I thought too.
No, I love the fact that you've always had your head into this entrepreneurial mindset, and not to say that putting a fifth wheel in your first couple of years of marriage is into a trailer park a good idea, but the fact that you've worked through the goal of a lot of people's lives where it's like, hey, I want to be able to get a piece of property and then put people in there that pay that mortgage for me.
Yeah.
That's really
8. That's awesome.
How many pieces of property is that amongst?
So I've got 1 duplex and 1 townhome.
Whoa.
Are you renting both of the duplex sides now?
Yes.
Remember
And there's
is it
actually
the same one.
Yeah,
You
the
staged
same one.
You
Same one.
staged one for
Yeah.
Rich.
That was
So-
like one of my first.
Yeah.
Probably like
It was.
The staging was absolute money.
Oh,
I mean,
thanks.
that place, I post that place up for, on Facebook Marketplace or something, and I have to take the ad down within 30 minutes because I've got too many messages. I can't get back to them all.
about the duplex.
Can I tell you a story about her staging, which is really not, that's so sweet of you to
That was
hire
really
on.
sweet because it was like probably
And
half a year into starting my business.
yeah.
So it was still very
We
fresh.
rented a U-Haul truck to do that, and I love these humble beginnings. But here's another attribute to how good her staging is I had a video where I took a 20-year-old fifth wheel camper that we had and then remodeled the interior of it, right? So I did the cabinets, all this stuff, upholstery, and then in the end I had her stage it, right? So like all the table pieces and stuff like that. So it was done so well that
Your photos were also really good though.
well, the photos were fine, but I had people who it was kind of like an open house. I was like, hey, the trailer's parked here. It's open. Everybody can just go, and then whoever gives me an offer gives me an offer. I had so many people go, hey,
I'll buy it right now.
I don't know.
I ain't coming to that.
No, not
open
even
house.
that. Because everything was staged for the
and
pictures.
then I took it out.
And then for the thing, people were like, "Hey, this is not the camper."
Oh yeah,
Is this the same camper you posted?
You are arrested, sir.
It looks. I catfished everybody, basically.
Yeah, that was funny.
That's
I think
awesome.
your photos were really like good too because they were really like light and airy.
Yeah.
Well, it's because
And
they're
you're
cut
like-
and pasted from a home improvement catalog.
So yeah, I went and grabbed, I grabbed a buddy and we lived on one side and then had two people on the other. And then I moved out and then actually replaced my room with another couple. So there's 3 people in the one side.
Oh,
and
awesome.
then the 2 on the other. So it's 5 in the duplex and then 3 people in a 3-room townhome.
That's so smart, man.
So after, all the prices shot up. So I probably saved for like 10 years. And I made a bunch of moves to make the down payment possible for the duplex in 2017. And I was terrified that was the peak of everything.
Yeah.
Right. And now you're.
But I wasn't
sitting pretty.
expecting the appreciation wasn't the goal. It was like, all right, if I can make the monthly cash flow make sense, then it doesn't matter really what the price of the home does as long as rent value and rent interest stays where it's at. So I made it work on Excel, and so I went and bought the duplex. Then when the prices all shot up, I did a cash out refi and then took that money and put it into another place.
You're such an analytical person where you're like, I plug the numbers into Excel, the
Excel
numbers spoke for themselves. So
Excel told me yes.
The perfect example. So I started looking for a second property. I started listening to Bigger Pockets, and I literally was just listening to them for fun. And then I'm like, they're starting to make a lot of sense. So I'm going to start looking into their BRRRR strategy. Familiar with the buy, remodel, refinance, repeat?
No. So the refinance allows for you to like take the cash out from that place.
Assuming a market that's very flat or neutral, you buy a place at a good deal. You need to get a good deal. You invest $50,000 in remodeling it,
right?
Just like all the TV shows, right? And then now all of a sudden it's
for a candle maker.
Now,
umbrella salesman.
All of a sudden it's worth 75 more. So you've made 25. You take that money and you put it in the next property, and you just keep doing it. You just keep snowballing it, right? Until maybe you do it with 2 properties or 3. So I'm listening to it. I'm like, you know what? This maybe still makes sense. So I get back on Zillow, and of course this is now 2020. And I'm like, prices are pretty tough. But I find there's one pocket left. So I just look at like every type of property, everything I could possibly get. There's one type of property that still made sense, and it was a townhome. I found one in Meridian, and it was 3 bedrooms, so it's very rentable to a larger group or to a single family, and kind of close to like colleges and stuff. It was very new. I didn't have a lot of maintenance, and that it had been on the market for 3 days. So I emailed everybody I could find for it, and of course it's gone.
Right.
So, but I decided that was exactly what I was now looking for. So then I narrowed the search, just like we talked about before. Like once I do have a goal, it's just like that goal all day. So just every single day, I just check, morning, noon, and night. And then one popped up at 11:30 at night one day.
Wow.
And I emailed everybody I could find. Turned out the realtor was a client of my work. So I actually had a bit of an in.
Connection.
And he was working for his father-in-law. So he really didn't care. Like he was not a full-time realtor. He just had a license. And wasn't that interested in getting a whole big marketable, offer auction thing going on. Maybe hadn't even been paying that much attention to what prices were doing. So we saw it at like 10:30 the next day. And I'm walking through and just said, make your father-in-law an offer that he'll take.
Can't refuse.
Yeah.
So I godfather line on him.
So I go in unrepresented, and we take off. I think he actually took 1.5% as like the broker fee from my side. He did dual representation. Right. So we took off 1.5%, I think, of the price. So I actually offered under the price, which was technically like full value to the seller. So they're going to get the same amount of money is the bottom line.
Just not the other 5%.
And I was like, don't just tell them not to look at any other offers. Don't show this house to anybody else. And the deal's done. And they wanted to buy their own like final home, the big retirement home. So let them stay as long as they want, because I want to.
There you go.
I want to buy this place to rent it.
Incentive for them.
That was huge. He's like, absolutely, if you'll just rent it back. So I rented back at just bare break even for I think just a month or 2 while they're looking. And I get some messages. Sorry to take such a long run.
Oh, no,
audio
this is
here.
great.
No, I get some messages from the seller. He's now my tenant, and he's like, dude, the searches going a little bit rough because we've been putting in offers and they're just getting declined. And we went 20 grand over and we lost, and we went 30 grand over and we lost, and we finally went 50 grand over and we lost. And I was sitting there like, you took my offer. Just like, exactly what you asked for. And then his neighbor sold a place just like it, maybe even a little worse, for $30,000 more. So like he was regretting, just like me selling the trailer.
Yeah, he was regretting it. Yeah.
Selling it so fast.
And you got a great deal.
You're such a shark. I could only imagine the way your second proposal went. Did you just like?
I didn't think.
Hey, I got an offer for you. Don't look at any other offers.
Refuse, yeah.
Oh yeah, Mary would love to share that story because it was just more like, hey, I have something for you.
That was it.
Because.
Here it is.
I was just gonna ask you. I'd be like, hey, to close us off, can you share how you proposed a second time? Everybody loves a good proposal story.
Sure.
And then you just shared it in 3 seconds. I said, I have something for you.
But backtracking, how did you guys meet?
Online, the old-fashioned way.
The old-fashioned way.
The way of the millennials nowadays.
The way of the millennials. I love it.
Yeah. So we go to Yellowstone, and it's a big family trip for her. So her parents and siblings and their kids and stuff are there.
So you tagged along?
Yep. So I was tagging along, and Yellowstone. Have you been?
I went when I was a kid. You've never been.
We're going next year.
We
booked that place.
So it ends up being kind of commercially for all the majestic nature that it is. You essentially just drive through it, and then you stop at places you park, and then you walk a path that's very well, documented.
Paved.
Yes.
And then there's like 500 other people there, like everywhere you go.
Right.
And you get back in the car and you drive, and then occasionally there's animals crossing the roads, or there's animals in the fields. People are taking pictures of them. But Yellowstone was not necessarily the like engaging nature experience you might have imagined.
Thought it would be, yeah.
So I'm looking for that moment. I'm carrying around the ring in my pocket.
It's bulging out of your pocket.
I actually made.
And you're like, that's my ring.
I actually made a big deal of carrying my bag, and she's like, "You're not going to need a bag today." I'm like, "Well, what if I need a jacket?" You're not.
You're such a pansy the way
you don't need a bag, Rich.
You're fine, Rich.
Yeah, you don't need a jacket. It's 80 degrees outside. Well, what if it gets cold or rains? And I've got the ring in the bag, and I'm like, what are you guys saying? And she starts like getting her relatives like, look at this guy, Rich. He's bringing his bag. Like,
making fun of
like, you guys are all gonna.
I'd hate to be his wife.
Yeah. You guys will get it.
Yeah.
Just wait.
So nobody knew, and they were making fun of me for carrying the bag around. But I'm just like looking for this moment.
Right.
And it's not at Old Faithful. I'll tell you that right now.
No?
Old Faithful is like 2,000 people around.
Oh, I bet.
That's every Parent Trap movie with the Olsen twins.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like every 30 seconds, it just kind of.
Oh,
you're like,
it's oozing out. Yeah. It's a queef. That's what it's coming.
It's got some, yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm my bad. I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm sorry.
There was another word that comes to mind. But yeah, it finally does go off. At one point, our little 5-year-old nephew was like, "Is this what it's gonna do? If so, I'd prefer we go."
Well, he's mannered. That's cool.
Yeah.
He'd been waiting. Yeah, he'd been waiting like a half hour.
It's good to note that maybe
It's anticlimactic. What 5-year-old says that?
It's anticlimactic.
So eventually we are like, we're all tired. It's been like 5 hours, and we're completing this loop. And there's a debate whether or not to even go to the last little waterfall section. And I'm kind of like, we need to go to the waterfalls.
It's my last ditch effort.
If I don't do it here, I'll maybe just do it like at the campground or whatever. But I've decided this is the weekend for it.
Right.
So I go.
You set your sights on it.
Yeah. So we go on a little hike that was like harder to get to. So it was finally this beautiful moment with the waterfall. And that's the picture that's on Facebook here. You can like look at it. Oh, never mind. That's
your
Tom,
screensaver?
Tom Segura.
What's your Instagram account?
I don't have an Instagram account.
Oh, jeez. You're making
You
it
don't
really
have
hard to
Instagram?
plug yourself.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
So
you're
that, yeah, so there's the waterfall, and so
Oh, she's a babe, dude.
we
Good
finally
for
go
you.
down
I love
to
that.
this.
The picture.
I know.
Here's my ring.
Yeah, we finally go down this section that
So
was
cute.
a lot more remote and pretty, and you know, we had talked about getting married before, and also she's very particular about some things, and so I knew I had to like.
Pointing finger
When
at
I
her
got
right
the
now.
ring, I like took
What
some
was
of
so
her
particular
rings.
about?
No. Oh, yeah.
I-
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
like particular about what she likes?
I took her rings to the jewelry store, and I took a picture of her whole jewelry box, and to make sure I got something that was in her aesthetic.
Oh,
And
Uh-huh.
she had been,
smart.
you know, ads had been coming on her Instagram and Pinterest. She was liking all this stuff. I'm like, I have to get it right.
Yeah.
And so one of the, you know,
You
as
did
soon
your
as
research. Good
as
job.
soon as I like kind of, you know, looked at her and held her and was like, hey, I have something for you. Like, she knew like an engagement was coming at some point.
Right.
And she expected maybe to be at a tournament in July that we were going to. But
That's
so
what the surprise
so she knew right away. And so I, like,
Was her family all
there's no
there?
more speech to give. No, it's just like us and her brother.
You didn't do a Braveheart speech?
There's no more speech really to give. So I just kind of get into it. I'm like, I got a really good return policy on this if you don't like it.
That's what you preface with?
Yeah, that's how we led into it.
Yeah.
I still have the receipt. It's fine. It's not
Well,
permanent.
the receipt is just like folded in the box.
And then we just let our emotions speak.
Interesting.
No words needed.
Yeah.
I'm
Just
guessing
the language of love.
Over the top.
language
She's
of love.
excited.
Yeah, she teared up and, we cried a little bit and was very happy and giggly. And
Yeah.
put it
Was
on.
her brother taking the pictures?
Her brother turns around and sees like I've already like gotten up off my knee and and then this is lady who's like, what are you doing? Take some pictures or something already.
Oh, wow. So you never even
He's
got
just
him into the
looking.
deal to be like, hey,
No.
can you take pictures of us?
No.
It was that
Look
spontaneous.
at you, covert
huh?
op.
Yeah,
huh?
well, and she had explained before, like, I don't want a whole ceremony. I don't want a big production. I don't need you to like sing a song with candles around. And
That's what you should have done.
So
I would have left some boys to men. That's what I
so
would
a
have
lot
done.
of this was, I don't want to say like pre-prescribed, but it was known. Like
Right.
there was
Yeah.
no like
Yeah.
pageantry or surprise to come
Right.
about. And
I do like that because I knew that with Alex too. Like I knew he was gonna propose because we had like talked about our life together and what it would look like, but the timing I didn't know of when he was gonna propose. But yeah, I feel like like if you've already talked about getting married, it's like a surprise, but it shouldn't be that big of a surprise.
Yeah. You should be like, oh, it's coming right now.
It's like, oh my gosh, I don't even know if we haven't even talked about this. I don't know if I want to marry you. No, it's like.
Also, I think we as guys are such dicks the day of the proposal because we plan everything so much, and then like we were like, okay, it's go
Nothing
time.
goes according
you
to
have to
plan.
be in the car at 6
Yes.
p.m.
Yeah,
Get in the car now.
I did a picnic
I
for our
made him
proposal.
go hiking the morning.
I hate hiking.
Yeah.
If I'm not
He hates
pursuing an
hiking.
animal to kill it, I was like, I hate
hates
hiking.
hiking.
I did this like
Oh,
picnic in the
man.
park, and I was like, see the scar right here? I cut that with a preparation for her proposal. I had a
Box
Ouija
cutter?
board. No, I'm kidding.
All right.
He's
I was summoning the dark arts.
yes,
whatever.
It
make
needs
her-
to ask
yes.
you a question.
Yeah. No, I had this complete book of William Shakespeare, and I was going to cut the ring box inside of it, and then read a couple pages, and flip to the thing, and then boom, there's a box right there.
So you're gonna
And
open it up like I'm just gonna read you the complete works
Yes,
of William
that's
Shakespeare.
exactly-
900
Wait,
pages.
wait.
Page 1.
No, we read
To Man from Verona.
Two Men from the Road.
And thank God it's not a gangbang because that's what it sounded like. But I was cutting out this ring box inside of it, and the blade broke and severed my arm or my hand, my palm. And when we were doing long
not
distance,
severed. Let's be honest.
it was severed. It was-
Lacerated at least.
It was hanging by a thread.
my thumb was surgically attached, but
it
yeah,
worked.
The day of, like, I was like, okay, we're gonna, because I had a
It's not my fault. I didn't know you were proposing.
I had a
so it was
wedding.
like,
You're
let's
supposed
go
to have an
hiking.
intuition. We
I
had
was
a.
like, let's go hiking and get sweaty.
My
And
buddy
so,
was
like,
getting a wedding rehearsal the day before, and or the day
that
of.
day that you proposed. Yeah.
And so we did it in the morning, and then like, okay, cool. Action plan is like in the evening or the day or like a couple hours before. And I was like, okay, we're gonna stop by. We're gonna get these pastries from Starbucks or something like that. I got this picnic basket with wine and stuff like that. We're gonna go to this park. I'm gonna open this thing. We're gonna have this like romantic thing. And I was like,
And then we had like 10 minutes.
and I was
to
like,
do
we
it.
gotta stop by Starbucks. She's like, why do you gotta stop by? We need to get.
It was funny because we literally had like 10 to 15 minutes
We are going.
at the park. And I was like, why don't we just go straight to the rehearsal? We don't have to go to the park.
She's
He's
like,
like,
I'm not
no,
even hungry.
we need to go to the park.
We
I was
need
like, why?
crepes.
He's like, we still have 10 minutes to do the picnic. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I booked up
That's right.
10 minutes of fun.
Yeah.
It was good.
Oh,
But he
my
did it.
gosh.
He did it like in like 15 minutes. It was
Got
perfect.
it done.
That's a
Look at
good,
that.
And I
almost
was
a good
shocked.
reason. Almost a good reason not to do all the
Hey,
preparation.
long story short, filing jointly now for taxes, baby. What's up?
Yeah. So yeah, great summary. I think a marriage is a promise kept, and it's a commitment.
Right.
You already made the commitment somewhere
Along
earlier.
the way. Yeah.
You know, this is just the wedding is just a ceremony to show everybody else.
Yep.
And have a good time and waste a
commitment,
bunch of
yeah.
money.
Yep.
And so is the proposal. It is just the ceremonial thing.
Yeah.
You got to jump through the hoops. You got to put something valuable on there. That's your down payment on
Right.
your life.
Right.
And you know, like that's all just perfunctory hoop jumping. And you talked about it at some point 3 months ago, and you're like, I'd have your baby.
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, you're
I'd
a decent
have your
spouse
baby.
or mate. Fine, let's do this thing.
Yeah.
Rich,
You'll do.
I promised you I won't keep you past the 3:15
You
mark.
guys just keep talking, and
We
I'll
can
just
keep
walk out.
talking,
The three of you just hang out in here.
All of a sudden, he's just not talking.
The way he came in is
the way he's gonna walk out.
down.
You just hear him like slowly, like the echo gets like
Rich,
quieter and
we
quieter.
appreciate you being honor us with your story, honor us and with you being the first guest in the official studio.
Dude, I was the first guest on your Pillow Talk podcast.
You
You were?
You
Wow,
our
Rich.
first.
I was the first third.
You're always down to clown.
Yeah.
You're always down to clown.
Keep inviting me to be the third, and let me know when the hot tub's open, and I'll tell you the rest of the story.
Anytime, Rich, you're more than welcome here. Thanks for coming. We appreciate Kyle
Happy to have you.
for being our producer today. Rich, I know you don't do social media, but you're also a musician. Is there anywhere you want to send these people to check out your stuff?
I'd say no.
Okay, go Google Marion on every platform and see if you can find Rich in there.
The next door neighbor question.
Yeah. What's up?
Ask him the next door neighbor question.
What kind of neighbor you'd be? Okay, so we'll close it off like this. Use one adjective and just say your name and say, hey, I'm Rich, Rich Brown, and I would be this kind of next door neighbor.
I am the blank next door neighbor.
All right, my name is Rich Brown, and I am the responsible next door neighbor.
Oh yes,
I love it.
You
Thanks,
are.
Rich.
You
All right,
are.
brother.
Thanks, Rich.
Thanks for having
All
us.
right, we'll see if you keep asking
Thanks
people
for
that
having us.
question.
All right, bye.